What's up, everybody?
What's up?
Welcome back to Love and Rice Podcast with your host, Aunt Ma.
I'm your other host, Christina.
And if you guys are new to this podcast, make sure you guys subscribe and follow us on all podcast platforms, including YouTube. We are on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and also TikTok and Instagram. Okay, we are on episode, I think, 54. Woo, woo, woo.
How long have we been doing this for now?
54 weeks.
Jeez.
What is that? That's a year.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Woo-hoo. Oh. That's so awkward.
What were you trying to do?
I don't know. I was going to high five you. I don't think.
I can't. The mic's
I
in my way.
don't remember when we last shook hands like that. That's kind of interesting.
Never.
Probably no, not even when we first met, huh?
Never.
Never. That's an interesting thing to do. So people, if you are dating someone new, don't shake hands.
Why?
Because that felt so awkward.
Did it really?
Yeah, because it's like a sign of formality.
Wait, what is that? What, you shake hands like that? You're like...
Well, how do you shake it? Because
I can't even get my hand on you. You're just shaking my fingers.
Well, because I have smaller hands. There we go. But your hands are also very sweaty. So I'm like trying not to touch it.
I have super sweaty hands. Like, look. You can't even tell, but it's like glistening.
Yeah, when me and Anne first started dating, that was the one thing I noticed. Because usually when you first start dating, you're like holding hands with each other all the time. And then you kind of like, you can feel the moisture and stuff. And I just remember how like slippery it was.
Is it not normal?
It's definitely not normal. You're probably the first guy that I've ever been with that had like sweaty palms like that.
It's because my grandma had sweaty palms, and I think that's where I got it from.
Yeah, I think
I don't know. It's been normal my whole life.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I don't remember which kid, but one of them has the same thing too.
Leia?
Yes. Yeah.
Sorry, Leia. So... Blame grandma.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So on today's episode, we're going to be talking about one thing that we do a lot right now, which is we watch a lot of Netflix, right? And I want to talk about how Netflix and the streaming culture affects modern relationships, you know? So is watching Netflix considered quality time?
I guess it would depend on the person that's watching it.
Do you think it's considered quality time?
I feel like I do, and I also don't. Like there's a fine line between watching something, whether it's like watching a movie or a show or whatever it is, because when you're watching Netflix, like you're just mainly focused on that, right? So it's kind of like a lot of people prefer to have their time spent together, kind of like communicating, seeing how everyone's doing, like connecting with each other like on an emotional and mental level.
But this has a different type of bonding, right? Because we can bond over something that we have similar interests in,
right?
Or it's finding out what I really, really enjoy or what you really enjoy that we usually don't, and we start enjoying it because of the other person.
Yeah. Well, I guess it kind of depends, because some people can watch Netflix and then they can still have a conversation about things like stuff that's like happening within the movie or something. Yeah. So it's like a common bond that you guys have. But then there are other people who might be so like zoned into what they're watching,
like me.
Yeah. So then it's like if I'm trying to have a conversation with you, or I'm making remarks about something that's happening in the movie or documentary, like that's what we've been watching lately, and then it's like silence, right? So it's kind of like I'm just talking to myself and not bonding or connecting with you.
Well, I mean, like it depends on how much brain power it takes to watch something, right? So like a crime series or a documentary, there's so much narrative in there that I just have to, if you miss something, you miss a really big point, right? But you're also just so in tune to understanding the story behind the film that, you know, it's just really interesting.
And I guess that's when there could be conflicts when it comes to watching Netflix, because then we could be watching something and you're so tuned into it, and I'm trying to ask you a question about something because maybe I missed something, and then we'll talk about something, and then you'll go back and be like, oh dude, like I just missed the whole thing because you kept talking to me, and I'm like okay, like I thought we were trying to have a conversation.
No, we turned on Netflix to watch Netflix.
But the thing is, that's what I mean when I'm saying there has to be a fine line, right? Because if that's something that you're doing every night, then where's the time to bond and connect and talk to each other and check in with each other?
So do you think it's there's more bonding watching Netflix or more segregation?
I would say there's definitely less bonding.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, because you're
I mean, well, why do you like to watch Netflix?
so for us, because we have kids and then our days are so busy, right? Like we're just always doing something as soon as we wake up until the end of the night. And when we're finally in bed, like that's our way of decompressing and kind of just relaxing and not using our brain as much, right?
Right.
So that's what I like about it. But at the same time, there are some days where I'm like, oh, like I still like watching Netflix because it's like our downtime. But at the same time, it's like I would love to have conversations and talk about like current events or things that's going on with our lives. Like I feel like people forget and they get I think they make like Netflix the priority and then they forget about like connecting with their partner.
So for me, the reason why I like watching Netflix, if for you guys, you may have noticed that in the last 3 months or so, I haven't really been editing vlogs lately.
Mhm.
And it's because I want to spend more time putting the kids to bed and then doing something with you. And so I've been enjoying that bonding a lot more. So that's why I like to watch Netflix because I get to do something with you,
Yeah.
and we both really enjoy it. And there's just so much stuff to watch and learn and things like that. So, that's my main reason.
Yeah, I think that's our way of bonding for sure. And we're both so like mentally exhausted at the end of the day.
Yeah,
So that's like how we relax.
because I feel like it also strengthens our relationship in a way, because when we watch stuff like crime series and or we're trying to watch a scary movie and you're like, I don't want to watch a scary movie because sometimes you're home by yourself when I go on my work trips, and but when we watch these things we get to figure out, okay, this is what you do, that's what you're supposed to do,
Right.
right? And I feel like that adds to it.
Yes. Yeah, like we find things that we can bond over and talk about and I think that's cool. But yeah, I don't know. Like I look forward to it, but at the same time I'm like, oh, sometimes I wish we would just be able to talk and catch up and see how we're both doing and stuff like that.
Well, I think there's a difference, right? So like when it's summertime and the kids aren't in school, during the day we're just dealing with the kids, being a
Mhm.
family and stuff. And so probably at night is where we would probably catch up during the summer times, right? But now that the kids are in school, it's like we do have all day to talk and do things and whatever it is, have our experiences during the day.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just feel like it's different in its seasons. Um, but talking about crime shows and documentaries, like what is your favorite genre that you like to watch on Netflix?
Well, usually I like to watch like comedies or romantic comedies or like kind of like I don't know, like cutesy movies, right?
Well, then that's where I would have more time to, or be, I, I would be able to communicate with you more and talk with you more during those type of things, because to me they're a little bit boring. So I'm not as tuned in. So I would talk to you more when we watch those.
I don't know. I feel like whenever we watch those things, you'll make fun of me. You'll be like, "Oh, you like watching these people who are like still playing like they're still in high school." But that's always how it starts in these kind of like rom-coms and stuff. Or it's like if it gets boring, then I don't know. You just make fun of me. So I'm like, okay, I'm just not gonna watch these anymore. If I watch, I'm just gonna watch it on my own time.
No, I mean, I'm down to watch it. It's just when it's really, really female based, I'm like, oh, like I don't know.
That's like
I
most
can't.
rom-coms.
It's because I can't really connect to it. So that's why to me it's boring.
I think it's more of like I don't know what the word is. Girls like feel good movies and then
Mm.
guys like action.
No, I like feel good movies, but they're
But it has to
prob
have action in it. Every time we watch a movie, it's always like,
it
oh
doesn't.
man, this is boring. There's not enough explosions. They just keep talking. Like, this is so slow. And I'm like, just start it.
I
Like,
mean,
oh, it doesn't have to have an explosion in every scene to be
okay,
exciting.
okay. So you think that all I want to watch are action movies, right?
No, I know.
It's actually
I
not.
know.
Those are not my favorite. My
You like
favorite,
horror movies then?
no, not even
Oh,
that.
okay.
My favorite are thrillers and suspenseful movies.
Well, those I would say are considered action too, because
They
you want something like some
they
kind of
have
crime
action in
happening.
it, but it's not always explosive, right? Suspenseful could be like I don't know, something that's just always heightening in the movie that has to do with some sort of plot twist,
Yeah.
and those are my favorites, like kind of like the mind fucks, right?
Yeah.
And so they don't have to have explosions. Like I like watching where this guy, there's this one movie and I really, really love it. I don't think you've seen it yet, but I'm down to watch it again. It's called Shot Caller.
I don't think so. I don't think I've seen it.
It's about this businessman, this white guy with his wife, and they, they're just a normal family, right? And then this guy, he has no record, nothing, and then they have a few drinks at night. They drive home with their friends in the same car, and they get in a car accident, and then the guy gets charged for manslaughter because he was drinking and driving, right? And it's not even like he was drunk. It's just like, you have a drink over dinner and stuff.
Right.
And then, when you're in a car with your friends, you guys are talking, he looks back and an accident happens. And from there, now he's in prison. And from prison, this businessman who's a normal white guy now gets into these gangs and stuff because he has to, or he's going to get stabbed, right? So they make him do things in jail to be a part of the gang, like sneaking stuff in, contraband and whatever, putting stuff up his ass to hide it and give it to another person,
I must
right?
feel like, did we watch this? I don't know.
No, I watched it by myself.
Spoiler alert, guys.
But basically, the whole movie is him going up the ranks into the gang. And so, it's just so crazy to watch a normal guy become a super gangster in prison. And then he never gets out. And his wife leaves him because he changed himself, right? Like he has a shaved head now. And like, I don't know, he just does everything to survive. And that to me is suspenseful because I would have never expected that from starting this movie.
Yeah.
So I love those kind of movies. And it's not even like there's no guns and explosions and rocket launchers.
Well, there has to be some kind of like fighting or some kind of crime happening or whatever in order for you to be like, oh, dang, this is intense. But then when they're just talking, so there's like these documentaries or investigative kind of movies, right? And then they'll be like trying to figure things out. And you have like investigators, detectives, and they're trying to like figure out what's going on behind a crime. And you're just like, oh man, this is so slow.
Right. Because like rom-coms are like, okay, are we going to figure out, does he like her? Does she like him? Like, I don't care.
But so my thing is, how come guys used to always watch these type of movies in the beginning
for you?
Yeah. So then why don't guys continue to do that? Because then in relationships, the guys always try so hard in the beginning, and then once they get the girl and you get comfortable and you've been together for so long, it's like guys stop doing these things that like made the girl like them in the first place.
So let's say when we first start a relationship and we go to the movies and it is a rom-com or a comedy, and that's like something we'll watch in efforts and also like maybe once a week, once a month type of thing. But the rest of the time when I go home, I am back to watching the things without you. You know what I mean? So now when we have been married for so long and living together, it's like I am still doing the things I did when I wasn't with you, watching the things I really like.
Yeah.
It's just, you didn't see that in the beginning.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I got a question. I just saw something pop up on social media where I don't know, psychologists and people were saying that people who watch crime documentaries is a red flag because if you watch, like, who would decompress and watch that to feel good before bed? Watching serial killers.
I feel like I have seen something pop up like that recently too. Well, I think that's more of like curiosity and wanting to know how things happen.
Yes.
Right?
And that's what I read in the comments. People were saying, no, that's not true. We are following the case and how the case unfolds.
Yeah.
Like, did they catch him? Did they, what did they do to get there? And
yeah, because I think when that popped up, it's kind of more of like, oh, they're a red flag because they're watching these documentaries because they want to know how these crimes were done. They want to know how that killer was thinking, and then maybe they're trying to like follow suit, right? But I'm like, no, like I never watched because I want to know what the killer was thinking. Well, maybe I do. I want to know like what their motive was, what led them to it, and then how they got caught in all of these things.
That's what it is. I'm watching to see how they got caught.
Yeah.
When that happened and leading up to that part.
Yeah, and I feel like when we watch these things, it's more of like trying to see what went wrong, what were these other people doing, what situations were they in that led them to get killed or kidnapped or whatever
Right,
it is, so
about
that
their
I don't
life.
do it. Yeah.
What? So
So
you don't
I
do
don't
it.
get caught in those situations.
So you don't
and
get caught doing what?
Getting kidnapped or
Oh.
killed or whatever,
I thought you meant-
sexually, you know.
I thought you meant getting caught trying to do something.
See, that's why they had the article for people like that, for
No,
comments like that.
Well, yeah,
Like, I'm not watching it because I want to know how that person killed other people or how crazy they were. Like, I just wanted to know. I always want to know
Right.
how to avoid these type of situations and what to look for, what red flags to see
Like-
in potential killers.
For example, we just watched the Menendez brothers Monsters, right?
Yeah.
And I wasn't like, oh, where did he shoot the mom? Where did he shoot the dad? Oh, he shot him in the head, in the leg, and there's blood everywhere. I didn't care about that part. You know, I just like, damn, I can't believe he went back, reloaded his gun, and shot his mom again. Like, who was the one that did that? Like, it's crazy that one brother was like, I'll do it. You know, like, to me, those are the things that are suspenseful. Like, wow, I can't believe he was the one.
Yeah, because then when you see these stories headline and you're like, oh, why did these brothers kill their parents? Like, there has to be something so dark and so crazy that happened in their lives in order for them to do that. Because people don't just kill their parents just because, you know?
I think
I mean,
what I really that kept me going in that series was that it was the whole court case part,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't know if they're lying or not. And so what's interesting to me is trying to figure out myself if I can figure out if they're lying or not. You know what I mean? And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I'm interested about. It's
it kind of makes you feel like you're a part of a jury that's trying to analyze
Right.
like people who are in court, and then you just see like the behind the scenes of everything that's happening, like with their attorneys,
Right.
and they're kind of like coaching them what to say, how to act, how to show emotions, and you're just like, oh man, it's so believable. Like, even just
Right.
watching it after, we don't know, like, is it true what they were saying, or is it just all
Right.
made up?
that's why I feel like watching these things, what interests me is I feel like it adds a skill level, because if I can pinpoint that they were lying or not, that's just another skill added to me.
Yeah. I feel like that's what we've been watching a lot lately. It was the documentaries about like even like Jeffrey Dahmer and all of that too.
That was awesome.
That was crazy
Yeah.
to watch all of that, because I didn't follow the story too much. Every time I hear these kind of stories about like serial killers and all these things, I try not to follow it too much in detail, because it's kind of creepy to me.
It is. It's just so fun to watch how someone can be so normal and then another time be so cruel. So it's like it teaches me that I can't really trust anybody no matter how they act towards me,
Mm-hmm.
because they can be anybody.
Yep, that's
You know
true.
what I'm saying?
It's just like watching movies like Taken or something. It just makes you
Right.
be more careful of your surroundings.
Yeah. So when you talk about like action movies, the reason why I really like action movies is because when you watch a movie, I'm watching something that is, I want to see a lot of money put into it,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of cool effects
Like
put into it.
production work.
Right. Because if I'm paying $15 for a movie at the theaters, I want to see where my money's going.
Mhm.
Right. But if it's like a rom-com, it's just talking the whole time. Like, damn it, dude. Like, where is the stuff that's going to be like, that's the value that I got?
Yeah, I think that
You know what I mean?
rom-coms are a little different now, because even when I'm watching it, it's not the same like it used to be, where I feel like it's so worth it to watch it in
Yeah, I feel
theaters
like
and
it's not
stuff.
worth it.
Yeah, because it is like more talking, and I don't know. I feel like the last, I wouldn't even call it a rom-com. What was the last rom-com that we saw like in theaters or
In theaters?
or
Shit, I don't
yeah.
know.
Even when I watched the Barbie movie,
Oh.
did we watch it? We did watch it together, right?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, to me, I felt like that was still actually really cool because of the meaning behind the movie. So, like, for me, I don't know if I want to watch those movies too much in theater now. I feel like it's very rare. Like, you're the one that's always like, oh, do you want to go watch a movie?
I thought
And you're
Barbie
looking
was
up
really
showtimes.
cool.
Yeah.
You know, like, so we watched Deadpool and Wolverine,
Oh, gosh.
and I actually liked Barbie more
Oh.
for some reason. when I watch Deadpool and Wolverine, I think it's because Deadpool is the demographic is different. Like he just talks so much
Yeah,
that
he's like
like
such a
it's just
smart
too
ass.
much to follow, right?
Right.
And what Netflix has done to me trying to watch movies at the theater has kind of messed me up because when we watch stuff on Netflix, we can pause every 30 minutes, stop. Well, maybe one movie will take 3 days.
Because we need to take breaks now.
Right.
We can't
You
just
know,
sit
we're
through the movie.
tired and we're just gonna stop.
Right.
But now, like when we went to go watch Deadpool and Wolverine, after an hour, I was like, oh shit, this movie is still going. You know, like I'm getting kind of tired right now watching this movie. And I am a huge Marvel person. Wolverine is my favorite Marvel person in my entire life. And I couldn't even get through the whole movie without thinking, damn, when is this gonna be over?
I think because it was more like I want to say it was more repetitive. There was like a lot of taunting and like making fun of like other people and fighting. Like there was an overwhelming amount of action
Yeah.
that was happening and like insults towards whoever he was killing, right? But then with Barbie, and I like movies like these because there's like it's so meaningful, and you can also see that the production value is there, even though there's not so much of like fighting or
Yeah.
explosion and stuff like that. But it's like it's what is the word? It's like a smart movie that makes you think about things and to get in tune with like your emotions and feelings, and it makes you think on a deeper level about like real life situations and things that are happening.
I think because you're watching the girl go from a doll to a human and her life is changing and that's what kept it really interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why it was to me it was totally different. So it's not always about action movies for me.
Yeah,
You
that's
know?
true. Yeah.
See?
Yeah, and I feel so. I was trying to think about movies that I loved watching that I felt were worth watching in theaters. For example, I liked 50 First Dates. Do you
Yeah.
remember that movie?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I feel like those are rom-coms where it's cool to watch in theaters and it's worth it to have like a guy and a girl watch it because it's funny at the same time. But nowadays, when I'm trying to watch these rom-coms, even on my own, like when you're doing something else or you're working, I'll watch it. I'm like, oh, it's always the same storyline. It's always guy meets girl, and then someone plays hard to get, or something complicated happens along the way, and then they separate, and then they come back later, and then they end up being together. You know, I'm like, oh, that's always the same storyline. So I feel like the way that these movies are nowadays, like it's not the same.
Well, the difference is when we were watching it before, like long time ago, it's because the actors and actresses are people that we really enjoy watching. We watch it for that actor, right? And so nowadays, maybe we're older and the actors that we loved are so old that they don't do those movies anymore. I'm not connected to the younger ones to be like, I want to watch him. I want to watch her.
Maybe.
Right? So
maybe.
like,
You're not as invested,
right.
right?
Before it's like, oh, Adam Sandler's in a rom-com. I love Adam Sandler. I'm going to watch it. And it's with Drew Barrymore. Cool. Right. But now it's like you're watching, I don't know. Look, I don't even know what actors there are in, or like there's one with what, like Blake Lively, right? I'm like, well, I don't really connect to her, so I don't really care to watch her in one of those movies, right?
I
I
did
don't-
like her at one point, but
Right.
yeah.
But I like her in a more suspenseful one, right? The one where she's like trying to
Yes.
kill somebody.
Yes.
But like, you know, I don't care to watch Ryan Reynolds in that because I don't really care for him in Deadpool. You know, so it's like maybe if Hugh Jackman was in one, I'll watch that because now I'm like, oh, let's see how this guy is in this type of movie. But you know, we have to be invested to our favorite actors to really watch a rom-com, right?
That's
like,
true.
if it was Brad Pitt or someone like that, we might want to watch it more, right? Before there was George Clooney. There's no more of these like crazy stars, superstars.
That makes sense because I feel like it's just very cheesy now with the type of movies that they make, and I don't know, like it just makes you
Right.
kind of cringe a little bit now. Maybe it is because we're older too now, so
Because most of the actors now in rom-coms are more of hyped up actors that came from
TikTok,
from
social
a
media.
Netflix show or something,
Yeah.
right? So like if it was like maybe someone from Riverdale or someone from The
Mm.
Wednesday, like I don't connect with them, and then to watch them on some, I get it, they're so popular and they're blowing up, but at the same time, like they're not my people.
Mm,
know?
that makes sense. Okay. Yeah.
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 All right, so I do feel like if we end up watching the rom coms on Netflix,
Mm-hmm.
we are more intimate because we're not so in tune with the movie or the show that we're like,
Yeah.
all right, let's do some Netflix and chill. Right?
Do you remember when that used to be a thing?
Yeah. Well, I
Like that
mean,
was a
like,
term. Everyone would be like, "Hey, you want a Netflix and chill?" Like,
and we did that a lot because we would just pick any movie and we know that I don't care. We're just gonna have something on and then we're gonna do the chill part, right? But now it's like I actually want to find something that I really want to watch. And so when you
yeah.
find something that you are so interested in, you just really you want to find out about the whole movie.
Yeah, but then I guess when you do it too much, right? When that becomes a priority over intimacy, then that's when you have a problem, and that's when Netflix is like,
But then like I don't know, that's why when we watch those crime stuff and suspenseful things and thrillers, I'm just like we are both we are talking throughout the movie like, oh my god, did he do this? I can't believe that. And we are bonding at that time. So it's a different type of connection.
yeah,
But I do see that over time people are not as intimate when their passion takes over what they want to watch.
yeah, because you're just like you're prioritizing what's on the screen rather than like what's next to you, pretty much, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess so. I guess so. I mean, so how do we find a balance?
um, I don't know. It's like that's a great question because we haven't done it in a while. But I feel like we're just so tired. Like we just want to watch.
Done what in a while?
Like we've been prioritizing watching Netflix and just chilling and not doing anything else. Or it's like I'll be sitting there now and I'm like using a massager on my back.
Yeah,
'Cause
we're getting comfortable and winding down.
yeah, and I think because we've been married for so long, that's just kind of like what it is, right? Because that's when you have time to actually take care of yourself and do all these other things because we usually don't. And I feel like that's kind of what it is,
Yeah, I
right?
mean you're really enjoying like putting a massager around your neck, like
Yeah.
with the whole pad and everything, right? And
Or
like
maybe it's like trying to balance it out and like you should be giving me a massage rather than me using a little massager, right?
mm,
Something like that. Like
okay. Yeah,
yeah.
that works. We can try that.
Yeah.
Um
Or sometimes I'll ask you and you'll be like like just messing
yeah.
around. And I'm like, I'm just not gonna ask him anymore. I'm just gonna use this massager to make it
Like
easier.
I was thinking should we watch more rom-coms, but your response was that they kind of suck now. Like you don't even care
Yes.
for it anymore.
I mean, sometimes I do. It depends on what it really is. But a lot of the times I'll be like, I don't think he's gonna like it, so it's okay. We'll just move on to something else. And then when you're watching something that's like action, it's not making you think like, oh, okay. I think right now we should like chill because I don't know, because there's so much action going on. You're just invested in that.
I
Like you
mean,
don't have time to think about that.
so like right now we're also trying to watch one called Uglies, right? It's been on the
Yes.
top 10 for the longest time, and it's about getting surgery and looking perfect, and
Like when
there's
you turn the age of 16, like everyone has an opportunity to have some kind of like cosmetic surgery to be perfect and to look beautiful or whatever. And we just started watching it last night, so we don't really know like the outcome of it yet, but
and there's action in it.
right.
But when I'm watching, I'm like, man, this is stupid. Like, why does it have to be about beauty and stuff?
Because beauty is such a big thing. There's like the pressure of always wanting to look perfect and trying to appear like you're flawless and stuff like that. So it's
But
like so I think it's trying to I don't know, I feel like it's trying to teach you the importance of like trying to choose your own happiness over trying to be perfect
I
and look,
guess
like worry about your looks mostly than anything else.
I guess that's why I don't really care for that movie because I don't care about my looks. Like I don't care that I have crooked teeth. I don't care that sometimes I have these freckles on my face. Like I don't care that I'm imperfect. To me, I'm happy the way I am. So like when I watch something like that, I'm like, to me, this is kind of dumb.
Well, I feel like watching something like that might help you in the future when the kids get older and then
And be
our daughter starts worrying about her looks more and everything else and like you're just kind of like, "Oh, how can I handle this? How can I send them the message that like all these other things are more important than just the way she looks?"
should you think it's gonna want me to get Botox or something?
I don't think so. I don't think you're ever gonna want to get Botox. I don't think
I
you
don't
care
give a
enough for
shit.
that.
I don't.
Yeah.
Bring on the wrinkles.
Yeah,
I don't
like
care.
so when we were watching that, it was just making me think of like a conversation that I was having like with one of the moms at jujitsu. And her daughter, she does like she does ballet and she
Yeah.
does like gymnastics and all these things. But she's really athletic. She does well like with jujitsu as well. But at the same time, her main focus is that she wants to dance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the mom was like, "Oh, like why don't you have Leia do it, because Leia says that she wants to do dance and other
Mm-hmm.
things." Um and then she's like, "Oh, but my daughter, like she's with all these different types of ages of girls, and they're also I don't know, like the demographic within ballet is a little bit different." And she's like, "Oh, she worries about the way she looks. She always talks about wanting to be thin and that she doesn't want to eat
Mm.
because she wants to stay skinny and she doesn't want to get fat." And I'm like, "Whoa, that's crazy, because how old is she? She's still pretty young, right? To have that like mental state already and to worry so much about her looks, you know?"
Yeah, I feel like girls between 6 and 10, they get influenced so easily. So
Yeah, you start comparing yourself to other people and seeing what you don't have and seeing what other people have, because you're old enough to actually start understanding these things, and people are starting to have crushes on you, and you might start liking people that don't like you back, and you see that they like other people and you're like, "Well, they probably, why don't they like me? Why can't I look like this person?"
right,
Because, you know.
I think girls at this age are only thinking about, oh, that's cool, and then stops right there. There's no thinking past that of like,
Yeah.
why are they doing that? Does everybody else do that? So, like for example, when I took Leia to school this morning, and we were walking across the street going to school, she had on like a bunch of bracelets,
Mhm.
hair ties, and she had like
Oh.
that thing where it's like it folds out and you slap it on your
Oh,
wrist.
like the bracelets. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so she had like 5 different things on her wrist, right? On
Oh.
her arm. And I'm like, "Hey, why do you have all this for?" And she's like, "You should see my friend. She has so much more." And as
Mhm.
we're walking across the street, we're walking with a crowd of parents and kids. And I'm like, "Leia, look at everybody else around us. Do you see anybody else with anything on their arms?" And she's like, "No." I'm like, "Yeah, because that's normal and
Mhm.
that's cool. Like, you don't have to, just because you saw one friend wearing all these crazy things that you think is cool, and you have to do that too.
Yeah.
Look at everybody else. Nobody else is doing that, you know? So don't think that just this one person is cool. So I was trying to teach her that,
Does she understand?
kind of, yeah. But I think it's more of like trying to get her to think past the cool factor,
Right.
and trying to think of all angles,
Yeah.
you
And
know?
that's why I feel like certain things that we watch now, we try to pick and choose what would make sense to us. Because with Uglies, like we couldn't find anything else because we watched so much Netflix that
Hmm.
we're just like, okay, well, what should we watch? What's in the top 10? What is everyone watching and why? So I was just suggesting to watch this movie because I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool because like it it's just sending a different message to you rather than just like people getting killed and like fighting and all these things,
Yeah.
right? So
I don't know, like, so going back to like the crime stuff, what I really like watching about it is also learning that, when we talked about how these people were normal and what fucked them up in their life to
yeah,
become this way or to do something, eh, a lot of it goes back to how the family life was, how the parents were. And so when we watch it, I'm like, oh, I never want to do this to my kids. I never want to be this way to my kids.
right.
So there's so much to learn, and like there's so many different angles that you can um try to understand and take that with you.
Yeah. And I think when it comes down to like watching Netflix and whether it's watching TV or whatever it is, like setting boundaries by, I don't know, like if we want to watch something that we're both interested in,
Yeah,
maybe you're mentioning like we can pause and take breaks and stop whenever we want.
we
Like
do.
maybe well,
We take a break and we go use the restroom, or we go check up on the kids.
I knew that's what you were gonna say. But I mean like taking breaks to like talk about stuff that's happening within what we're watching.
Oh.
Right? Instead of like me trying to talk to you and you're like, like I just want to watch it type of thing. Because you can pause it and talk about it and have a conversation and connect on that level.
Yeah, we can
Right?
try that.
Yeah. Instead of just going, I
Um,
guess.
mhm.
Right.
So, all right. So after all this talk, do you feel like Netflix is killing our relationship? Do you feel like it's a distraction, or are you happy with watching Netflix?
I feel like I enjoy it because I like that we
Me
can
too.
decompress together. But at the same time, I feel like there has to be more of a balance also in trying to like set those breaks to like talk to each other or like seeing how each other is doing and stuff. Because I feel like it's important to kind of like catch up on each other's lives, I guess. And even if there's nothing interesting happening, it's more of like checking in and be like, hey, how are you? Like,
Yeah.
how do you feel about everything? And it's like sometimes I'll try to pull emotions out of you. I'm like, how do you feel about like being here or being with the kids? Are you stressed about anything? So it's more of like letting you have like an outlet to feel like you can talk to me about things and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Because I feel like we have each other, right? And all of our friends and family are out in California, so it's kind of like, who else can we vent to and talk about things like?
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's very important to talk about all of this.
Sometimes when we watch a really cool movie that's about that shows a lot of I guess cool angles and different point of views on how they shoot stuff. I like to talk about that a lot because it actually helps us when we do stuff with our content, right? A
Mm-hmm.
lot of times I'm like, oh my gosh, look at how they did this angle. Look at this perspective of how two people are talking, but the camera's got it in a really cool
Right.
angle and stuff. Like, I really like those things and how we can move it into our content and stuff. So there's like those conversations, like those are like I think for you it feels like a work conversation. For me, it's more of like adding to the skills to my passion of how I view things.
Yeah.
Because now after doing content for so long, the way we watch movies is different from the normal person who just watches a movie and doesn't see all that stuff.
Right.
Like we see things differently now.
But I feel like that's just as important as checking in with your significant other and seeing how they're doing and making sure that they're doing good.
That's like the fifth
Right.
time you said that on this episode. So
Yeah,
I
because I
think
feel like it's rare. Like guys don't usually check in with their girls anymore and like, hey, how are you feeling? How are you doing? Like, oh, I noticed you've been having a lot of headaches or you're not feeling well. Like, is it getting better? Like, I feel like that usually doesn't ever happen. How are you feeling? Like, oh, you're tired. It's more of like, damn, I know I heard you. You said it this many times already. It's like,
well, because
okay.
so there's a difference when there's something out of the ordinary compared to something that's just normal. So when it is out of the ordinary, we will talk about it. But when it's like every day I have a headache, every day I'm tired, to me I feel like there's no reason to bring it up because I think it's normal for you for some reason, right? Because now it's X amount of years that it's been happening. We say, okay, you should go to the doctor and let's do this and do that. But you're like, nope, no doctor. And I'm like, oh, okay. So that kind of like shuts it off already.
Yeah. Well, I mean, or it's like trying to do extra things now to try to be like, okay, well, will this help? Here, let me bring you some Tiger Balm or something for your head or whatever it is. Oh,
Oh,
your neck has been hurting every day. Here, let me bring you some ointment and give you a massage, like what your dad does for you.
okay.
Every time you're saying you're not feeling well or your muscle hurts or whatever, your dad is always like, okay, let me bring out my medicine and let me like rub it out for you or whatever to
Yeah.
make you feel better. So it's like noticing things like that too. So it's like we can be decompressing and watching Netflix, but also going like, oh hey, like oh your neck is really hurting. You can't sleep at night. You're up. You're
Mm.
waking up
Okay.
every night because you're hurting.
So-
Let me help you.
Here's what I get from all of this. Both people really enjoy watching Netflix because they love the downtime and they love bonding over what they're watching. But to add to that, we should also be sorry. I like choked but didn't choke and like it just paused in my throat.
Okay.
Yeah,
It was-
I don't know what that was.
I don't know. Yeah.
But it was like, wait, what? Okay, so
Well, because we're talking about like intentional viewing and like how to make Netflix better and
So-
not getting so sucked in.
right. Well, sucked in is fine, but what we're doing right now is we're watching it for our personal interests, that's what's that. There's that independence to that. But if we watch it together with the same intentions and stuff, then I guess that's when it's more intimate. Right?
Yeah.
And not like intimate, like let's chill with the Netflix part, but more of like you said, help me put some Tiger Balm on, give me a massage. And, I think that's what it was back in the days was like, men would rub the girls' feet while they're watching the movie and
Yeah, or
stuff,
you're holding
you know?
hands and you're like being physical
Yeah.
without being like intimate,
But
like
I,
sexual.
I think a lot of that stops when, like, the girl's always expecting, how come I never get the massage? Well, we've done all that, but then the guy never gets a massage. So it's that at some point it just stops. I mean, I want one too.
I feel like I offer to give you more massages, and then when I need a massage, I have to ask you for it.
No,
That's
you
the
never
difference.
ask me for a massage.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, dude, I have this really bad.
No,
Yeah,
you
I'm like, I
never
have this
give me a
really-
massage.
I did before when you're like, oh, my back hurts, and I'm like, okay, let me
Never.
help you. Yes, I did.
How
I
long
did it
ago?
like,
How many
like
years ago?
1 to 2 months ago when your
No.
back and your neck and everything was hurting. I volunteered to massage you, and I'm like,
Oh.
hey, do you need some CBD
Oh,
cream
yeah,
on
yeah,
you?
yeah,
And
yeah.
I offered, but
No.
every time I have it, I'm like, I'm not gonna ask him because he's like,
No, you
not
can
gonna-
go ahead and ask me, and I'll do it. I just don't know how bad you want it. But like, it depends when you ask me. If I'm like in some serious pain, I do not want anyone to touch it. You know what I mean? When I go back to LA and my dad's like, "Hey, let me do that for you," it's because he's forcing me, right?
Well,
But,
because
like,
you need it. But I mean,
and then I'll do it. And then when we come back to Vegas, you're like, "Hey, do you want that massage?" I'm like, "Hell no!" My dad just fucking traumatized my shoulder. I don't want another one right now. I'm in so much pain.
well, that's different.
But
so,
like, if I'm just sore, I would enjoy one. But if I'm like fucking throbbing, I don't want one right now.
yeah, I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? It's just too much. But yeah, I get what you're saying. So
Because
let
if there's
me-
that lack of intimacy, right? Like that kind of helps with that too, and not just like.
okay, so let me know when you want a massage.
Then I would probably ask you every day. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, if you really need it, sure. Like,
yeah,
I will
mean,
do
like
it.
I need one right now, but like
I
just.
I just think about like, how much I don't want one when I'm hurting, which is why I don't think about giving you one.
Yeah. And I think that's probably the difference in relationships, right? Because it's all about perspective and stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I don't think Netflix is killing our relationship.
I mean, I don't think so.
I think it's a added part to what we love to do. And I love bonding and spending this quality time with you rather than editing a vlog. So,
yes.
I once again, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Comment down below if you think Netflix is destroying your relationships, or if you love watching with your partner, because I want to know what's common.
And then I guess it's more of like, what are you doing while you're Netflixing and chilling that's making it either not a positive experience, or that's making it the most amazing experience?
The other thing is that before kids, if we would watch something at home, we can do a whole thing around it, right? We can prep it out. We can get a dessert. We can get popcorn. We can make some cocktails, and we'll enjoy a lot more.
Yes.
But with the kids, and by the time that they go down to sleep and we watch stuff, it's too late to have food or drinks and do that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't become that much of a date anymore, because we ain't trying to eat and drink at like 11 p.m. What's that?
I'm like, we?
Why? Because I snack?
You snack so much.
Yeah, but
we're watching his bed, and then I'm just like, damn, he has this snack drawer next to his bed, and he's like constantly pulling stuff out. I'm like, it's midnight.
But those are like fast, quick bites, right? We're talking about like eating a little plum candy, or like whatever it is. But I'm talking about like we can make
like
an ice cream sundae.
I know, yeah, that would be amazing.
Like we can make a strawberry shortcake.
That's true.
That's what we used to do.
Yeah.
Before kids.
But now I think it's more of decompressing and then just getting ready to go to bed and relax. And stuff.
It's just more like, are you ready to sleep? No, maybe in like in an hour.
Yeah.
So like let's just zombie out and watch something before, so we can get more tired. Yeah. So all right, if you guys enjoyed this episode, don't forget to comment everything that we wanted to hear and we mentioned right now. Make sure you guys subscribe and follow us on all podcast platforms: Spotify, Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. And we will catch you guys next time on the next episode of Love and Rice. Bye bye. Bye bye.